In October 2024, a crypto project launched with a highly provocative premise: an autonomous artificial intelligence agent programmed to run a venture capital fund all by itself. That project evolved into ElizaOS, an open-source framework for building autonomous AI agents. Today, it boasts over 17,000 GitHub stars, more than 5,000 forks, and nearly 600 active contributors, making it the most heavily adopted open-source AI agent framework in Web3. This chart shows the massive divergence between the project's software success and its financial reality. While the green line tracking developer adoption surges upward, the red line, representing the native ElizaOS token price, shows a brutal 99.7% decline from its effective all-time high. You have a genuinely well-built open-source project with thousands of real developers building on it every day, yet the asset attached to it has effectively collapsed. The question is how a product this successful can be tied to an economy this broken. To figure out what went wrong, we are breaking down the project's exact mechanics using our independent, sponsor-free freedom and return scoring frameworks. The project originally launched on Solana under the ticker AI16Z. It was a play on the venture capital firm Andreessen Horowitz, featuring a central AI agent named Mark Andreessen that was tasked with autonomously managing the DAO. By January 2025, real-world trademark concerns from the actual Chris Dixon prompted a swift name change. The team rebranded the entire ecosystem to ElizaOS, severing the software framework from the original meme. Evaluating ElizaOS today requires splitting the project into two distinct, unrelated realities. You have the software framework that developers use to build agents, and you have the token economy that investors buy into. For developers, the framework is highly accessible. Built on TypeScript, a widely used programming language that adds static typing to JavaScript, it claims a 3-minute onboarding time from initial installation to your very first running agent. This diagram shows the model-agnostic architecture. Builders can plug their agent into major corporate large language models like OpenAI and Anthropic, or they can switch entirely to local inference using tools like Ollama. Ollama is a software tool that allows you to run powerful AI models locally on your own hardware for maximum privacy. The ecosystem expands further through a massive library of over 90 official plugins. Developers can instantly connect their agents to blockchain networks like Solana and EVM chains, Ethereum virtual machine networks that support smart contracts, or to social platforms like Discord, Telegram, and X. This modular design positions ElizaOS directly between traditional Web 2 AI tools like LangChain and fully decentralized Web 3 environments like OLAS, giving developers high flexibility without restrictive lock-in. The team has also secured serious academic credibility, committing a grant exceeding $250,000 to Stanford University's FDCI program to research multi-agent economics, agent trust, and governance. For non-developers, they launched Auto.Fun. This consumer-facing platform removes the coding barrier entirely, allowing anyone to deploy AI agents for social media or DeFi automation. DeFi stands for Decentralized Finance, which refers to financial services built directly on blockchain network flaws. The framework suffers from a vulnerability known as memory injection. This is an attack vector where a bad actor forcefully inserts false context or malicious instructions into an AI agent's long-term memory banks, overwriting its intended behavior. Researchers at Princeton University proved this was possible on ElizaOS. By coordinating social media interactions through Sybil attacks, where one attacker creates many fake identities to overwhelm a system, they successfully corrupted an agent's memory and manipulated its financial trading decisions. When confronted with this exact exploit, Eliza Labs officially stated that no direct updates were made as a result, leaving the memory manipulation vector entirely unpatched. As a sandbox for testing AI integrations, the framework is excellent and highly adopted. But handing over live capital to an autonomous agent running on a system with acknowledged, unpatched memory vulnerabilities carries massive operational risk. That technical reality leads directly into the investor's reality. When evaluating the ElizaOS token strictly as a financial asset, it earns a highly dismal return score of 27 out of 100. The low score stems from a complete structural disconnect between the product and the asset. A developer can install, build, and deploy a highly complex agent using the ElizaOS framework without ever needing to purchase, hold, or burn a single ElizaOS token. The token lacks any mechanism to capture the value generated by its massive developer adoption. There is no staking system, no framework licensing fees, and no formal revenue model directing capital back to token holders. This wasn't always the plan. The original token started with a community-first fair launch on DAOs.fun, raising roughly 420 Solana, with absolutely no pre-mine and zero initial allocations reserved for venture capitalists. This chart shows the token supply expansion that occurred during the project's November 2025 token migration. The original 6.6 billion fair launch tokens were diluted, as the total supply was suddenly expanded upward to a hard cap of 11 billion tokens. That 40% supply expansion created entirely new allocations that did not exist in the fair launch. The extra supply carved out 10% for the core team, 4.5% for a foundation, 2.5% for ecosystem funds, and 15% for undisclosed SAFT investors. A SAFT, or Simple Agreement for Future Tokens, is a contract used to secure early funding from private investors before a project goes live. Original holders absorbed this heavy dilution directly. Furthermore, the decision to expand the supply and restructure the tokenomics was executed unilaterally by the central team, without any formal on-chain approval from the community. Token holders currently have no binding way to enforce their will. A formal on-chain voting module has been promised, but it remains inactive. Instead, the DAO operates through informal Discord signaling. Final binding authority over all treasury investments still rests entirely with the original Mark Andreessen AI agent, rather than the humans holding the governance token. Because the token has been heavily diluted and stripped of utility, it now trades as a highly volatile microcap, creating extreme execution risk for anyone attempting to enter or exit a meaningful position. Currently, there is only about $86,000 in available liquidity, sitting on the order books within 2% of the spot price. The spot price is the current market price at which a particular asset can be bought or sold for immediate delivery. Additionally, framing an autonomous agent as an AI VC fund, while simultaneously failing to publish an audited investment portfolio or a verified treasury valuation, creates immense unresolved regulatory hazards across multiple jurisdictions. Buying the token requires you to risk your capital in a thinly traded, heavily diluted asset that offers you zero software utility, zero binding governance rights, and zero claim on framework success. ElizaOS is a project cleanly split down the middle. It features genuinely excellent, highly adopted open-source software that has unfortunately been bolted onto a heavily centralized and dilutive token economy. If you are a developer looking to build in Web3, you should absolutely use the framework. It operates under a permissive MIT license, a software license that allows you to use, copy, and modify the code with very few restrictions, and it costs nothing to deploy. This visual scorecard breaks down our final verdict. While the software earns high marks for utility, investors should completely avoid holding the ElizaOS token due to its F-grade return score, lack of value accrual, and structural dilution. For the token to become investment grade, the team must first ship the promised on-chain governance module. Token holders spending real money need uncensorable binding voting power over project decisions and treasury funds. Second, Eliza Labs must formally patch the memory injection vulnerabilities exposed by the Princeton researchers. Institutional adopters simply will not risk real capital on autonomous agents that can be hijacked via social media. Finally, the token needs actual utility. The team has discussed launching a dedicated Layer 1 blockchain. A Layer 1 is a base-level blockchain network that validates its own transactions, and launching one would solve the utility vacuum immediately if every agent deployment required ElizaOS. Take full advantage of the open-source code, but keep your capital entirely out of the coin.